Alright, we're going to do a quick video on update on these turbo trucks. Went to the dyno yesterday. We took the white truck, we took the red truck, and we took the black truck. So I trailered this down there, and then the guy in the black truck met me down there, and Michael was busy as always. He stays busy just like I do. So we got down there after lunch, and then he had one on the dyno 5.3 that his machinist claimed would make 500 tire, and as it turns out, it made 320. So it's gonna be Michael's fault that the machine shop's 5.3 didn't make 500 tire. So I mean, it's probably the tune. He probably could have added more timing or something in the tune, and magically got that 500 tire on a NA 5.3. But I digress. So this truck, as you know, we got number 7, lucky number 7 every time. Was looking over everything, trying to figure out what in the world happened, and I sent the timing table to Michael, and he looked at it, and full disclosure, it was a table that I had put in there, to get it running and whatever, blah blah. Don't do that. So anyway, he was like, wow, is that the table that's in it? Send me the file and I'll revise the table, write it, and we'll go with that. So he sent me the table, I loaded it in there. Anyway, it blew up again, number 7 again. And the crazy thing is it was the exact same spot on the piston, on both pistons. You could put both pistons oriented the same direction, and it was the exact same spot on the ring glands both times, except this time it didn't break the top of the piston off. So it was, I don't know when it got hurt the first time, if it was on the dyno or after the dyno or what. But anyway, let's figure out what we learned from this. So after that, obviously I put another piston in it, got the truck back together, got in touch with Michael. I said, hey, can you help me figure this thing out? He said, sure, bring it down. Got it down there. He eased it on the dyno, just pulling up and loading it and trying to see what it was doing. And he started picking up some knock retard. And it was a little lean coming into boost. And he fixed that. And so the timing thing, he's like, well, the last time we were on the dyno, I don't think it had any spark knock, or we don't know, we didn't look at it, I don't think. But so he goes in there, and the value it was at was already 10 degrees, and it was pulling timing. So one of my first thoughts was, all the numbers look correct in the tune based on what you see with what's safe to run, pump gas, and air fuel ratio and timing. Everything on paper looked correct, but obviously we knew there was a problem. So one of my thoughts, before we took it down there and started digging into it, was the reluctor wheel was off on the crankshaft. And I've known that to be the case before. And I read about it, LS reluctor wheels being off 3 to 5 degrees in either direction or whatever. So basically this one was, wherever it was 14 degrees total, it was really 18 to 20 degrees total, which, on boost and pump gas is not going to work. So that turned out to be the problem. Another thing is when you do a dyno pull, you load the truck and then you pull it real quick to the RPM. You're watching the power and everything, and then when you see the power start falling off, you let off. So the whole pull from once you start the pull to once you end the pull is only a few seconds. So the problem we were having was when we actually drove it, when he loaded it on the dyno and was testing it that way, what was happening was boost was running away. So instead of the 15 pounds of boost we saw on the dyno, it was the boost controller was allowing it to make all the boost. And this thing spools so quickly, and with the timing and everything in it, it was just a recipe for disaster. And I mean, it would ride until it didn't. It was amazing how quickly it came in, and you know, which makes sense now because the timing was a lot higher than we thought it was, and with that turbo coming in so fast and just everything. So, you know, it was clean brakes on the ring glands. It wasn't any signs of lean or anything like that. So it was just so much boost, and then the timing and all that stuff. So it was a learning experience, you know, and I just want others to know, you know, what I learned and document what I've learned, and also to remind myself later in case I forget. So anyway, he ended up pulling just 5 degrees total out of the whole timing table. We turned the boost controller. I don't remember how many turns we took out of the controller, but it was probably 5 turns or something, because we were wondering when we were on it. I remember we had to put like 3 turns in it to get it to come up, which that should only take 1 1/4 turn, should be about 4 pounds of boost. So it was effectively just closing off the wastegate and allowing all the boost. So we drove it and everything, you know, and it's, you know, still kills tires on demand, and did runs and drives great now. We got it sorted out. That's a big burden off my shoulders, because it's been bothering me trying to figure out what was wrong with it. Me and Michael, you know, were talking and just trying to figure out how to diagnose it, how to get it taken care of, and, you know, we were able to get that taken care of. So Clifford up there, it was running like absolute crap. Turns out the way we set them up is you put 1 O2 in the crossover and then 1 in the downpipe, and then it can make global changes on the fueling. And apparently the O2, with the distance it was back on my truck, because on my truck it's behind the transmission and the downpipe, because there's not room to put it before that. So the distance it was back there was causing my O2 to be delayed. So what it was doing is, it was at idle, it was saying it was lean, so it was adding fuel. So it had added probably over 60% fuel to the thing, because I noticed the other day when I filled it up, it got 10.38 miles a gallon, and I was like, what in the world? I've gotten better than that towing with this thing. And it was running like crap. So anyway, we found that, got that figured out, put a new O2 in it out of a pipe off of a manifold laying behind the shop. So I used a laying around part, someone else's laying around part, and got that working. So then he saw, you know, the delayed response, because we ran it first with the wideband and watched it, and he wanted to see if the air fuel ratios were the same between the wideband and what the narrowbands were reading, and they were above, you know, a couple 1,000 RPM or something. So, you know, what it was is, once the flow started coming across the O2, then it was functioning. So I didn't know that there was a way in there that you could change or delay the narrowband from reading. So you can change it, I think by KPA and by RPM. So he did that, delayed that, and then he smoothed the timing out coming into boost and everything, and just load test it and all, and then it ran like an animal on unloaded. Of course, then we hooked the trailer and all back up. It's still doing a little something around 6 pounds of boost, but it's the way it's loaded and all, I don't know. I'll have to log it and figure it out, but it did much better. Got it squared out. Of course, it was already 9:30 last night when we got to that one. So after this one, we did the black truck, which the black truck, I think I did a video on it where it had the stage 2 BTR, or no, it was comp cam, the one that had damage on the lobe. So we pulled it out and then put that Torquenator truck cam from Summit, and I showed the specs and all on that, and It was 200, 205, 550 on a 113 lobe separation. And let me tell you what, that thing did amazing in that little 4.8. It helped that truck out tremendously. Before, with the stage 2 turbo cam, it made 477. He wasn't recording torque when we dynoed it last time, but that was on 10 pounds. It made 477. With this cam in it, now it made 521 on about 11-12 pounds of boost. And then the torque was like 537. So I mean, that thing was doing excellent. If you recall, the quadra steer was a bone stock 6.0 stock cam 78-75 with a 96 exhaust housing and back pressure for days, and on 10 pounds it only made 480 and 535 foot-pounds. So it was pretty impressive to see a little 4.8 make basically the same as the boosted 6.0. And this thing had zero back pressure issues because it was such a smaller cubic inch motor. And he's got a 78-75, and it's a billet wheel, and it's a .96 exhaust housing with 3-inch exhaust through a resonator and a little tailpipe, and it has a cutout. And the interesting thing with the cutout was we were very curious to see what it would do. And with the cutout open, it was about a point leaner, which, well, the O2 is far enough upstream that shouldn't have affected the reading of it, but it only made 7 more horsepower, and it made the torque come in a little quicker. I want to say it was about 1,000 RPM quicker with the cutout open, but it only made 7 more horsepower, and it did make, I think it made 550 something foot-pounds. But you know, with all the noise, it was certainly not worth the 7 horsepower, and we weren't about to try to tune it with the cutout open, because then obviously it would affect it with it closed. So no back pressure, 12 pounds of boost, and 520 horsepower out of a 4.8. It's very impressive. So I knew, like I say, as soon as I drove it, that it was the right move, and he's very happy with the truck. So we learned a lot yesterday. You know, got a lot of stuff figured out, got this thing running good. And then the red truck, if everything goes as planned this morning, then the red truck's going to be going back naturally aspirated and going to be getting a set of headers and all my turbo stuff coming off, and then I'm going to sell it for whatever I can get out of it and be done with it. So but that's only if everything goes right this morning in a couple hours. And if that does, then I'll make another video and show what that's all about. So anyway, that's it for now. You know, that's why they say verify your timing, because it's very important. And you know, and it's also another good learning point. You know, you can't take somebody's timing table from theirs and put it in yours, because you know, if somebody took this timing table and put it in theirs, it'd run like crap if their reluctor wheels square on the crank and everything. So that's why you need to verify timing, and also you need to weld the reluctor to the crankshaft once it's, I haven't messed with one before. I know there's a tool to take them off and on, but you know, verify that it's in the correct position and weld it. So then that way you won't have this issue, because that's, like I say, all the numbers, all the air fuel ratios, the timing, everything on paper was correct, and you know, worked on known engines and everything. But when you're having a problem, then that all goes out the window, and you've got to dial it in and figure out what's going on. So luckily we were able to get it figured out for it, not another piston out of it. But I mean, this thing, there it goes, flying south for the winter, honkers. But yeah, so we learned a lot, had a good time, and then hopefully that'll be it with this one and the red truck. And I don't know if he's gonna keep the black truck or not. It actually has turned out to be a nice truck. You know, I think the camshaft, just what a difference a camshaft can make. And like I say, on the trucks, you know, this one not so much, because you don't have the weight and everything on this. But you know, you got a crew cab, you got to go with the shorter duration. And that little cam, we were all impressed with that little cam. You know, 200 and 205, that duration worked perfect. Now, and I was very impressed with the numbers, because that cam's only supposed to pull to 5,900, and that's excellent numbers for a 4.8. So anyway, that's it for now.